Good morning and welcome back. This is the Airbnb where I'm staying here at Halifax. It's on Wellington Street and about 5 minutes drive from VRL station. So today, Tuesday, September the 13th, 2022, it's my first full day in Halifax. As you may remember, I came here late last night and that's why I couldn't show any surroundings. um, I came to my place and just crashed. So I had a good sleep last night. I woke up around 6:45, got ready, and now the time is about 7:45. So I am going to the waterfront. And what you are seeing next to the Westin Hotel, that's the VRL station, and I came there last night from Montreal. And the bus I'm taking to Charlottetown, the Maritime bus, it also leaves from here. So I would be taking the bus on the 16th from the same location. I'm very close to the waterfront. It literally took me 13 minutes from the place I'm staying to come here. I would like to share some information about Halifax. Halifax is the largest city as well as the capital of Nova Scotia. As I said on the train yesterday, that when the immigrants first came to Canada from Europe, they would land in Halifax. So this city has lot of different type of businesses: agriculture, natural gas extraction, fishing, you name it. I always wanted to come to Halifax. I've heard so much about it, the natural beauty, and you can tell that it's a pretty place. It's so calm and serene here. As I'm walking around, this place reminds me of Vancouver Harbourfront. Very similar. There is a sea, and then mountains, a beautiful harbor side slash waterfront, and lots of buildings. This one is a torpedo. I have never seen a torpedo and how it looks from inside. So that's interesting and exciting at the same time for me. And that's the full length. What I'm going to show you now is an incident which happened in Halifax in 1917. I have come outside to the observation deck on the first floor because I need a few minutes to recover myself, emotionally after uh, seeing the artifacts about the disaster, the explosion that happened in Halifax about 100 years ago. It was a somber experience, I must say. Close to 1800 people died, 6,000 people got injured, and 25,000 people became homeless. Most of the area in this surrounding turned into a rubble. That's sad and tragic. Now I would like to go back inside and look at some more artifacts, especially the one from Titanic, uh, one of the most famous ships anyone could have heard of. So. On the way to Peggy's Cove, we have come here to Fairview Cemetery. This place has graves of several hundred of Titanic passengers who perished at the sea. The dead were brought to Halifax, and many of those people have been buried here.
Name at the very top, the day that they died. So it was the midnight around April 14th when the crash happened. So we standardized all of the deaths just to be April 15th. And then the number of what they were taken out of the water. So Luigi Gotti was the 313th body. that was pulled out. Yeah, and the reason that Luigi was identified was because his son had given him a teddy bear, a little tiny little souvenir, as a good luck charm, because he was supposed to be a chef for the VIPs on the Titanic, and unfortunately it brought him good luck, just not the good luck that he was hoping for. He was recovered with it in his breast pocket. So his son, when the body was brought back, knew that that was his dad because he had the teddy bear in his pocket. Yeah, 41 there. They were never identified, so a name still to this day is not applied. We did our best, but unfortunately there was a lot of bodies that we were just unable to get identification from. When they were brought back into Halifax, they had decayed a significant amount, and then also some of the families didn't have as much money as some of the other families, so they weren't flying out to Nova Scotia to look for their son or daughter. They were just hoping that their son or daughter was found, and not part of the many others that weren't recovered.
So are they all buried down?
Yeah, they're all buried with their headstone. Also, number 300, William Denton Cox here. His name is on the front because he was identified after the memorial site was set up. So through DNA research coming to fruition, through many other realizations, it's going to be easier and harder for some others, but when new information does come out, we obviously try our best to give an identification. Just like Jay Dawson here. You guys might be familiar with Jack and Rose from James Cameron's Titanic. Jack was not real. Joseph, he is a real human. So Joseph worked in the boiler room. He would have been, covered head to toe in soot, working in 45-degree temperatures. It would not. Also up here, we've reached the most important headstone. This is for our unidentified child. Fantastic story on perseverance. So this was the fourth body that was recovered out of the water, and he wasn't even 2 years old yet. So it was just absolutely devastating to the crew. They genuinely thought they were going to go save 1,000 people off of lifeboats, easy peasy, no problem, and then another, probably another 1,000 off of the sinking ship, and then maybe 200 were lost. But it was nearly opposite when they showed up there. Bodies were everywhere, and nobody was in lifeboats, and nobody was on the ship because it had sunk. So it was just really impactful pulling the fourth body, and it was a child. Originally, they thought it was Alma Paulson's child, Gosta Lennard there. Her 4 children, we know of their existence because her father, or the husband, he was waiting in New York to then join the Titanic on its next leg of the journey. And she was recovered with 4 tickets in her pocket. So they knew, he said, that's my wife, and my 4 children were never recovered. But with this child, they went unidentified for a very long time. In 2001, we had a lot of advancements in DNA technology, and they were really excited to get out to this area to figure out different bodies. A lot of this first top row have a lot of unidentified, so they dug up a lot of the graves, and were hoping that they could get some DNA off of them, but unfortunately they were buried with wooden caskets, so they had decayed. And very fortunately though, the crew who recovered this unknown child, they felt extremely bad, and they had donated a large sum of their $10,000 grant that they were given for their bravery, and it is spent on this headstone as well as a metal casket for the child. So the child's DNA was preserved really well, and in 2001 we put out that it's baby Edison. Something went wrong. It was about an 80% match to a baby known as Edison. This baby was about 6 months old, and fit nearly perfectly to the DNA of Sidney Leslie Goodwin. So we kind of put out with an error of salt saying, hey, might not be the right child, but we're 80% sure. And then in 2012, there was a donation given to the Maritime Museum of the Atlantic of these red leather baby shoes. You might have seen them when you were in there. And it was crazy because all of the clothing should have been burned. So these baby shoes, there's no way that they should exist. But very luckily, one of the policemen that was in charge of burning all of the clothing off of the victims of the Titanic, he saw these baby shoes, and he just felt it wasn't right just to throw them on the fire and watch them burn. So he brought them back to the police station, he put them in his desk, and forgot forgot about it until he retired, where he gave them to his family. And then during the 100th year anniversary, the family realized, you know what, we don't really need these anymore. Let's donate them and see if they have any relevancy. And thank goodness they did, because 100 years later, with these new shoes, they were for an 18-month-old baby. Baby Edison was 6 months old. There was a Cinderella situation where the shoe didn't fit, and they needed to figure out who was the real one. And now we know with 99.99999% certainty that it is Sydney Leslie Goodwin. That was our unidentified child. So yeah, we're still always on the lookout for any lost memorabilia and hints of different identities that were brought back.
Were there relatives?
We just saw the graves and heard stories about them. I strongly insist that you hear all the commentary surrounding the victims and the graves which are here. It's fascinating is not the right word, but something to be, worth watching.
Yeah, technically it's still a British military base.
Uh-huh.
It's only been captured once by an artist. The artist's name was Catherine.
Okay.
When they were doing the ceremonial cannon fire at 12 o'clock, she lowered the flag and raised her own flag in like 2007.
Oh.
And she's the only person who's taken the base. It was Fort Catherine for about 2 hours, and then she got into trouble.
I should have bought a homemade flag for myself had I known.
Yeah, you could have swapped them out.
As long as they don't put me in the jail.
Yeah,
for doing it, right?
Throw you in jail. Well, it's your fort. You can throw them in jail at that point.
Yeah, that's true too. So something really interesting about this place, if you can see, there is a British flag flying there at half mast for the Queen. So this is technically still a British fort, or owned by Britishers. This is something interesting which I kind of find surprising also. The only places that I know which are owned by a foreign country are the embassies in any given country, but this is something new. Okay, so this fortress Halifax, I have been told it's an interesting exhibit, so I'll go and check what's in there. So as you can see, I'm acting a little silly. I personally think the Citadel, it requires a lot more time to explore. I don't think it's enough to spend 35 minutes to 40 minutes or an hour here. Needs like at least like 3-4 hours to enjoy the surroundings, explore the various exhibits and museums. I don't know if I could come here again, but I'll try to.